A car accident landed me in a CEO romance novel as Soo Won-king's ex-husband. Remembering the original character's tragic end, I quickly took the divorce agreement and signed my name. The female CEO's face darkened instantly. Chen Shu, have you really thought this through? My heart skipped a beat. I quickly guarded my wallet. Was she kidding? This was an astronomical divorce settlement. There was no way I'd return a single cent. After lying in a hospital bed for 3 days, I finally accepted that I'd transmigrated. An ordinary male college student had entered a melodramatic CEO novel as its vicious male supporting character, who was also the CEO's ex-husband. Relying on his rich and powerful family, he did whatever he pleased. At the opening ceremony, he fell for the heroine, Soo Won-king, at first sight. From then on, he pursued her relentlessly and used every means to force her to marry him. Soo Won-king was the standard campus novel heroine, poor but beautiful and outstanding. Her father was disabled, and her mother had uremia. To pay her family's medical bills, she finally gave in and married me. During their 5-year marriage, she rose from an unknown junior employee to a rising star in business. Our relationship grew worse and worse, and Soo Won-king gradually escaped my control. But I remained completely unaware and kept acting recklessly. Then one day, I pushed her first love down the stairs. Unable to bear it anymore, Soo Won-king demanded a divorce. That was when I had the car accident. Won-king only came to see me on the 3rd day and threw the divorce agreement at me. Her voice was icy, her eyes full of impatience and disgust. Chen Shu, are you done making trouble? Even so, the instant I saw her face clearly, my heart still pounded. No wonder the original owner went crazy. She was truly gorgeous. I glanced at the divorce agreement. When I saw how much property I would receive, my heart nearly stopped. Damn, I was rich. The original owner came from money, but he was an arrogant, spoiled playboy. He also had a younger brother who surpassed him in every way. There was no chance he would inherit the company. Meanwhile, Soo Won-king's business had soared within a few short years, and her assets were already considerable. The divorce settlement would be staggering. I must have spent my whole life doing good deeds. I deserved to end up this filthy rich. After calculating how much I would get, I suppressed my excitement, afraid a smile might creep onto my lips and make Soo Won-king suspicious. Then I took a deep breath. I agreed to the divorce. Soo Won-king froze, probably because she never expected me to agree so readily. But opportunities like this never came twice. Before she could recover, I scribbled away and signed my name on the divorce agreement. Soo Won-king seemed to sense something was off. Her brows knitted. I turned my head away and said dejectedly, I've thought it through. Soo Won-king, let's set each other free. Then I stayed quiet for a while. Just as I was about to lie down and count my savings, I noticed Soo Won-king silently staring at the divorce agreement, with no intention of leaving. I asked curiously, aren't you going? That guy's song still hasn't recovered, right? Shouldn't you go check on him? Soo Won-king's face suddenly turned cold. I felt a little uneasy. Could this woman be regretting giving me so much money? But I'd already signed my name. She couldn't back out now. Besides, considering how tolerant and generous I was being, she ought to pay me. Back in college, Soo Won-king had a first love named Song Jingnian. Unlike the arrogant young master, Song Jingnian was gentle, sensible, and ambitious. He came from a single-parent family. His family had been poor since he was young, but he worked hard and excelled in every way. In a sense, he and Soo Won-king were the same kind of person. Only he could understand her. He was practically Soo Won-king's soulmate. Without me, the two of them would naturally have ended up together. After graduating from college, they would have struggled together in the city and built a happy family of their own. But Chen Shu in the original novel went mad with jealousy and made things difficult for Song Jingnian at every turn. He constantly picked fights and eventually even attacked him. From then on, Soo Won-king utterly despised Chen Shu and broke with him. Anyone with a brain could tell that after offending both the male and female leads, this vicious supporting character would meet a terrible end. So I had to take the money and run while I still could. Soo Won-king finally slammed the door and left. I patted my chest and muttered, what a temper. But when I thought of the property I'd receive, I became happy again. Money falling from the sky like this wasn't something everyone got to enjoy. Just then, a WeChat message arrived. It was from Gu Qinghan, and every word was teasing. I heard Soo Won-king finally came to see you today. She was my childhood friend, a spoiled and willful heiress who was an expert at eating, drinking, and having fun. She looked down on Soo Won-king, and Soo Won-king looked down on her. The two were bitter rivals. Especially after I married Soo Won-king, our families interacted more often. Her grandfather had compared Gu Qinghan to Soo Won-king more than once, which made Gu Qinghan dislike Soo Won-king even more. She always called me hopelessly love-struck and told me to dig wild vegetables in her garden. Clearly, she'd come to laugh at me again. But I didn't care. I was busy getting rich and counting money. Who had time to wallow in heartbreak? After thinking for a moment, I photographed the divorce agreement and sent it to her. Starting today, I'm single, buy me dinner, Gu Qinghan immediately called. Her first words were, "Are you crazy? What an awful thing to say. Once I'm discharged, we're going to register the divorce." Luckily, the accident wasn't serious. I only hit my head. "Aren't you going to congratulate me?" Gu Qinghan was silent for a moment, then suddenly laughed. "Fine. Young Master Chen, what kind of celebration do you want?" A week later, I left the hospital in an expensive suit. Gu Qinghan crossed her arms and mocked me. "Why are you dressed like a peacock at a hospital?" I clicked my tongue. "What do you know? Today is a great day." Gu Qinghan couldn't be bothered with me and turned to leave. Unexpectedly, we ran straight into Su Wangking. Su Wangking's gaze paused on Gu Qinghan, her eyes turning cold. I walked over and smiled at her. "You're here. Where's the car?" Her expression softened slightly. "In the parking lot." "Let's go." Gu Qinghan immediately objected. She narrowed her beautiful eyes at me. "Chen Shu, you're not taking my car?" I waved a hand. "I need to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with Su Wangking first to get our divorce certificate. Her car is more convenient." Then I urged Su Wangking, whose body had gone stiff. "What are you standing there for? Let's go." Gu Qinghan snorted with laughter. "True. This is important. Don't waste time." Su Wangking curled her lips mockingly. "Chen Shu, are you really that eager to cut ties with me?" I answered honestly. "You have other plans tonight. I just want to get this settled early so I don't hold you up." Su Wangking was always busy. She barely ever came home. I knew she simply didn't want to see me. That worked, because I had no desire to keep pestering her either. How nice it would be for us to go our separate ways. There weren't many people at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Before long, it was our turn. Just as we were about to go in, Su Wangking's phone suddenly rang. I glanced over from the corner of my eye. It was Song Jingnian. Su Wangking stepped aside to answer. I faintly heard her gentle, soothing voice. "I'm still outside handling something." She had never spoken to me in that tone. This marriage had been forced from the beginning. For 5 whole years, we were constantly at odds. We could barely even share a peaceful meal, let alone exchange such gentle concern. The clerk urged us twice. "Are you doing this or not?" I shook my head, feeling a little sorry for the original owner. In Su Wangking's heart, he truly meant nothing. "Su Wangking," I called out, "could we handle my business first this time?" Su Wangking had always put Song Jingnian first. The original owner had argued and protested, but she never budged. He had been a fool, actually believing he could beat Song Jingnian. Wasn't that just asking to suffer? And Su Wangking, too? Couldn't she put me first just this once? Then she could finally be openly together with her first love. Su Wangking's expression suddenly froze. Then she said into the phone, "Let Dr. Jiang examine you first. I'll be there soon." 20 minutes later, I held the freshly issued divorce certificate with tears in my eyes. I got it. My enormous settlement was mine. From today on, I'd travel, drink, eat, and have fun, and live a happy life. With utmost sincerity, I said, "Su Wangking, thank you. Thank you for the money. Goodbye forever." I had barely stepped outside when I spotted Gu Qinghan. That woman was driving an outrageously flashy red Ferrari. It was so eye-catching that no one could miss it. I skipped over happily. "I'm rich now. I'm going shopping." Behind me, Su Wangking suddenly called out in a strained voice. I turned back quickly. "Is there something else?" Su Wangking pressed her red lips together, her emotions impossible to read. If I were the original owner, seeing her obviously upset would have made me press her for an answer. But I was tired of pretending. "If there's nothing else, I'm leaving." I quickened my pace. For cannon fodder like me, staying far from the male and female leads was the key to happiness. As Gu Qinghan drove away, I glanced at the rearview mirror. Su Wangking stood there, surrounded by people coming and going, yet somehow looking lonely. Without a nuisance like me clinging to her, she must finally feel free. Gu Qinghan glanced at me. "Can't bear to leave her?" I replied enthusiastically. "You saved all the pretty girls at your club for me, right?" Gu Qinghan was utterly speechless. "I worried about you for nothing. I thought you loved her so much, but now that you're divorced, happiness is written all over your face. Is it that obvious?" I flipped down the passenger side mirror and examined myself carefully. I was now 28, 10 years older all at once. Fortunately, this face was handsome. Most importantly, I was rich. After thinking, I explained, "She doesn't love me, so I've decided not to love her either." While we waited at a red light, Gu Qinghan turned and stared at me for a long moment, just as her gaze made my skin crawl. She said meaningfully, "After that accident, you really seem like a different person." I shrugged calmly. "Maybe after facing life and death, people learn to let go of many things." Gu Qinghan paused, then smiled. "That's true. Your spending tonight is on me." 2 hours later, Gu Qinghan regretted it. Her face darkened. "You still haven't ordered enough?" She wasn't talking about drinks. She meant the girls at the club. "No, I should call them young ladies. I raised my glass to her. Come on, have a drink with me too. Then I patted her shoulder and gestured at the circle of pretty girls. Look at them. They're sweet-talking and beautiful. Which one isn't better than my ex-wife? The original owner was ridiculous. There were beauties everywhere. He had money and looks. Why insist on hanging himself from one tree? Gu Qinghan scoffed. You're finally not blind. A slender young woman came over to pour me a drink. She was very attentive. Try this, sir. Sure. I eagerly reached for it, but Gu Qinghan snatched it away. Don't mix your drinks. I don't want to call an ambulance for you later. Then she glanced at the young woman. The woman's face instantly went pale. She hurriedly lowered her head. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know. I waved generously. It's fine. I'm in a good mood today. Then I smiled at Gu Qinghan. You're really something. Rules for thee, but not for me. When those little boyfriends of yours feed you drinks, you enjoy it plenty. But when it's my turn, suddenly it's forbidden. Gu Qinghan laughed in anger. That's not comparable, how isn't it? I was about to reach out again. What are you doing? Gu Qinghan suddenly asked. By the way, does your family know about this? I froze. Damn, I forgot about that. Before I could speak, Gu Qinghan looked as though she'd seen through everything. I knew you wouldn't dare tell them. The original owner wasn't close to his family. His parents were rigid and favored his younger brother. He was rebellious as well. When he insisted on marrying Su Wangking, he had a huge falling out with his family. Later, when Su Wangking became successful, their attitude changed completely. They repeatedly blamed him whenever he quarreled with Su Wangking. In any case, life hadn't been easy for this vicious supporting character either. But with the divorce certificate in hand, what was there to fear? The days that followed were even happier than I'd imagined. I had the housekeeper pack up all of Su Wangking's things and mail them away. This villa had originally been bought by the original owner's parents as their marital home. But Su Wangking disliked staying here overnight. Perhaps every corner reminded her of the humiliation the original owner had caused. At first, she mostly stayed at the company. After her career took off, she bought an apartment near the office. The original owner visited once and happened to run into Song Jingnian there. Song Jingnian immediately explained that he'd only stopped there temporarily to shelter from the rain. But with the original owner's temper, how could he not be angry? He and Su Wangking had a huge fight that time and didn't speak for a month. In the end, the original owner couldn't stand it and was the one who gave in. After all, his eyes and heart held only Su Wangking, but now, everything was perfect. This enormous, luxurious 3-story villa was all mine. Su Wangking hadn't kept much here. But after clearing it out, the place still felt a little empty, so I immediately went shopping. Then I began pointing out items in every store I liked. This one, and not this one. Wrap up everything else. Of course, Mr. Chen, the store manager, was beaming. Several sales associates followed behind, carrying my bags. As soon as I stepped outside, I ran into Su Wangking. She froze when she saw me, and I had already spotted Song Jingnian behind her. It looked like his leg was nearly healed. He could even come shopping now. Su Wangking's lips moved, and she spoke first. His mother's birthday is coming up. I brought him here to choose a gift. I blinked. Why was she telling me this? I didn't care. Out of courtesy, I gave a polite wave. Before I could walk away, Song Jingnian spoke as well. He looked somewhat apologetic. Mr. Chen, I'm sorry. My leg still isn't very convenient, so Wangking had to drive me here. You seem to have bought a lot. Is it difficult to carry? Why don't you let Wangking drive you? I'll be fine by myself. Now that was the art of speaking. He reminded Su Wangking that I had pushed him, hinted that I shouldn't be jealous, and generously offered Su Wangking back to me. I smiled. No need. My car is downstairs. Besides, I shouldn't trouble Miss Su with private matters like this. Song Jingnian froze. What? I also looked at Su Wangking in surprise. Miss Su, haven't you told Mr. Song that we're already divorced? Song Jingnian stared at Su Wangking in shock. Su Wangking's pretty face tightened. She looked displeased. I don't like publicizing private matters, so she was taking a veiled jab at me. I'd only held a few divorce celebration parties. Why be so petty? Song Jingnian apparently hadn't expected such a bombshell either. He opened his mouth. Wangking, you and Mr. Chen already? Why didn't you tell me? At the sound of his voice, Su Wangking finally remembered that he was still beside her. After a pause, she explained softly, I've been too busy lately. She used to use that line to brush me off. Who knew the tables would turn and Song Jingnian would receive the same treatment? Still, the male lead and supporting man were different. For Song Jingnian, this was wonderful news. His gaze moved between Su Wangking and me several times. Then he said apologetically, I'm sorry. I didn't know before. I didn't mean to bring it up. You don't mind, do you, Mr. Chen? Of course I don't. She's a woman who has nothing to do with me now. You to carry on. The young ladies carrying my things are getting tired. Su Wangking suddenly said, wait. I turned around. Is there something else, Miss Su? Su Wangking frowned. She seemed unused to my sudden change in attitude. Mom said yesterday that you haven't visited her in a long time. Su Wangking lowered her voice, as though it was difficult to say, yet she had no choice. Go see her when you have time. She met her mother, who suffered from uremia. Unlike Su Wangking, her mother had always liked me. That was because Su Wangking never told her that she'd been forced to marry me. In the elderly woman's eyes, a rich young master like me hadn't looked down on the Su family's circumstances and had devoted himself to Su Wangking. Naturally, she thought highly of me. During the early days of our marriage, to win Su Wangking over, I had taken the initiative to care for her mother and earn the elderly woman's affection. I knew she was my final bargaining chip. Su Wangking was filial, so because of that, she wouldn't easily break with me. But I had attacked Song Jingnian and crossed her bottom line. That cost me my final trump card. After thinking, I agreed. Then tomorrow, the elderly woman hadn't done anything wrong. Su Wangking relaxed. I'll pick you up tomorrow morning. I smiled at her and jingled my car keys. No need. I have arms and legs. I can drive there myself. I won't trouble Miss Su. Both Su Wangking and Song Jingnian's expressions froze. Early the next morning, I set out for the nursing home. This high-end facility was in the suburbs, with excellent amenities and service. Of course, it was also extremely expensive. Mr. Chen, you're here. The caregiver greeted me politely. Su Wangking had hired her. She knew Su Wangking and I had a poor relationship, so she was rather distant with me too. Mrs. Su lay in bed. Years of uremia had left her thin and frail. Fortunately, after several years at the nursing home, she was doing much better than before. The caregiver's gaze paused briefly on the food container in my hand. She pursed her lips with a hint of disdain. Even a caregiver looked down on the way I tried to please her, because he knew that no matter what I did, it would only disgust Su Wangking. When Mrs. Su saw me, a kind smile appeared on her face. Have you been busy lately? I haven't seen you in quite a while. I sighed inwardly. I had only ever used her from start to finish, yet she took it seriously. The old lady had done nothing wrong. A little. I brought you some chicken soup. Try it later. But Mrs. Su took my hand and looked at me for a long while. She asked carefully, did Wangking upset you again? I shook my head, but Mrs. Su didn't believe me. She sighed helplessly. Wangking has been stubborn since childhood, and she always keeps everything bottled up. If she upset you, tell Mom. I'll talk to her for you. I felt even guiltier. I had planned to tell her about the divorce, but now the words stuck in my throat. I just couldn't say them. I ate with Mrs. Su, then chatted with her for a while. Before leaving, I hesitated for ages, but finally forced myself to speak. I'll still be busy for a while, so I'm afraid I can't visit you often. I'd reduce the visits first, then tell her at the right time. That should make it easier. I couldn't hide it forever. Even if I wanted to, Su Wangking wouldn't allow it. If I came too often, she'd probably think I still hadn't given up on her. Mrs. Su patted my hand and sighed. Chen Shu, you're a good child. What Wangking did before was wrong. She never mentioned it to me, but I know she feels deeply guilty and regrets it. She likes you so much. How could losing the baby not hurt her? My heart jolted. The baby? That's right. That was the trigger that completely destroyed the original Chen Shu's relationship with Su Wangking. Yes, the original Chen Shu and Su Wangking had once had a child, and that baby was conceived after he took advantage of Su Wangking when she was drunk after a business dinner. The child had not come about honorably, but to the original Chen Shu, it was the strongest weapon for keeping Su Wangking by his side. After the pregnancy was revealed, Su Wangking felt guilty toward her first love, Song Jingnian. But she also couldn't abandon her own flesh and blood. In the end, she chose the child. Her own childhood had already been hard enough, so she couldn't bear for her child to be born into a broken family. During that time, her relationship with the original Chen Shu was at its best. She obediently took the supplements he bought her, and even read all kinds of parenting guides. She truly wanted to be a good mother. That was why, after the miscarriage, she completely broke with the original Chen Shu. The whole thing was rather bizarre. After Su Wangking became pregnant, the original Chen Shu sensed her attitude softening and began pushing his luck, wanting her by his side at every moment. Whenever Su Wangking refused, he would use prenatal education and bonding with the baby as excuses, forcing Su Wangking to give in. After it happened too many times, Su Wangking grew impatient. Once, Su Wangking had to go on a business trip. Song Jingnian was among those going with her. The original Chen Shu refused and demanded she replace him, then stay home and focus on the pregnancy. Su Wangking felt he was controlling her freedom, suspicious and domineering. They had a huge fight. Chen Shu, can you act normal? Stop assuming everyone is as filthy as you, okay? With that, Su Wangking slammed the door and left. That very night, the original Chen Shu received news that Su Wangking had miscarried after becoming upset. Naturally, their relationship collapsed completely after that, and everything turned upside down. Before that, Su Wonking had merely loathed the original Chen Shu. Afterward, that loathing became hatred. She never again entered the marital home, nor had any contact with him. Until the original Chen Shu went after Song Jingnian and pushed him down the stairs. That was the last straw. I was silent for a while. It's all in the past. The old Chen Shu was already dead, so those things ended with him. After leaving the nursing home, I felt a little depressed. I didn't know whether it was for Mrs. Su or the old Chen Shu. And that gloom reached its peak when I realized I'd accidentally lost my car keys. That pushed me over the edge. In despair, I called Gu Qinghan to pick me up. As expected, Gu Qinghan found it ridiculous. Am I your chauffeur? Do I have to be at your beck and call? It's not like I won't pay you. Gu Qinghan, this sanatorium is pretty remote. It's hard to even get a taxi. In the end, Gu Qinghan resigned herself and came. By the time we got home, it was dark. More importantly, it was pouring. Looking at the curtain of rain outside, I generously let Gu Qinghan stay over and granted her the second-floor guest room. Unexpectedly, someone rang the doorbell early next morning. Half awake, I stumbled over to open the door. Su Wonking was standing outside. Just as she was about to speak, footsteps sounded on the stairs. Gu Qinghan's voice carried the clear irritation of being woken up. Who is it? Su Wonking's face instantly turned cold. Every word seemed squeezed through clenched teeth. Looks like I came at a bad time. Sorry to disturb you. I rolled my eyes inwardly. So you know you're ruining people's sleep. And why are you making that face? This is my house, okay? You're just my ex-wife. What right do you have to be angry and look like you've been cheated on? Who are you putting on that face for? You cheated on me for so long, and I never even held it against you. I turned to Gu Qinghan. It's nothing. Go back to sleep. Gu Qinghan really had princess syndrome. Still, she'd only been stranded here by the rain because of me. I couldn't even guarantee her a good night's sleep. When Gu Qinghan saw Su Wonking, she seemed to wake up a lot more. She smiled lazily. We have a guest. It'd be rude for me to go back to sleep. Chen Shu, honestly, why don't you invite her in? I ignored her and looked at Su Wonking again. I had no intention of letting her inside. I'd only just cleared out all her things. I didn't want her dirtying the house again and making the cleaner deal with it. I asked, Miss Su, what brings you here so early? Su Wonking's face turned faintly green. Gu Qinghan's few words had clearly struck a nerve. But she couldn't lash out. In the past, she could have acted like the lady of the house and told Gu Qinghan to get out. But now, she was worse off than Gu Qinghan. She couldn't even get through the front door. Still, women like her were good at enduring things. Su Wonking was no exception. She took a deep breath and stopped looking at Gu Qinghan. Then she pulled a key from her pocket. You left this at Mom's yesterday. She insisted I bring it to you. In other words, she was here only because her mother had told her to come. Thanks, I took the key. You really didn't need to make the trip. I have a spare. Su Wonking fell silent. I waited a few seconds, then ran out of patience. I politely hinted, Miss Su, is there anything else? If Su Wonking couldn't hear the dismissal in my words, she wouldn't have reached her current position. She pressed her red lips together but said nothing. Bang! I shut the door. Gu Qinghan stood on the stairs, staring at me. I asked curiously, aren't you going back to sleep? Why are you staring at me? Gu Qinghan narrowed her eyes slightly and crossed her arms. Nothing. I just think you're being a little heartless toward your ex-wife. I was speechless. You don't have to talk when you have nothing to say. Gu Qinghan lifted her chin. Chen Shu, don't tell me you can't see what she's thinking. Thinking what? I asked back. Gu Qinghan leaned against the railing and drawled, she wanted to see you, didn't she? Otherwise, she wouldn't come here first thing in the morning just to deliver a car key. And she wouldn't have looked so upset after seeing me in this house. I tilted my head. So, Gu Qinghan tapped the railing. Seemingly casually, she asked, you really feel nothing? Feel what? She turns back once and I'm supposed to run after her? I found it a little funny. Gu Qinghan looked at me, something shifting in her eyes. Her back seemed to straighten slightly. I shrugged. I feel like I divorced her too late. If I'd known what kind of person she was, I should have given up on her sooner. I wasted so much time for nothing. Gu Qinghan clearly hadn't expected me to say that. After staring at me for a moment, she suddenly turned her head and laughed. Not bad. Chen Shu, you've finally grown a spine. Deeply encouraged, I returned the compliment. Not at all. I still have a long way to go compared to you. You're the real master of wandering through a garden of lovers without letting a single leaf cling to you. Gu Qinghan was speechless. How many times have I told you? I have nothing to do with those men. I quickly replied, I know. Miss Gu, you were only playing along with them. You just haven't met your destined prince yet. Isn't that how novels always go? A domineering heiress always meets her destined true love and repays all her past romantic debts many times over. Gu Qinghan stared at me speechlessly, then tossed out, I knew there was no reasoning with an idiot like you. Before going back to sleep, I slept until afternoon and woke from hunger. When I woke up, My phone was full of missed calls and WeChat messages, all from the original Chen Shu's parents. After looking through them, I knew why they had suddenly contacted me. They had found out about my divorce from Su Wangking. You divorced Su Wangking? What were you thinking? How many times have we told you? Su Wangking's company is growing rapidly, and we're negotiating a partnership with them. What are we supposed to do now? You're already an adult. Why are you still so willful? You just divorced her on a whim. Did you not think of anyone else? You're too selfish. I don't have a son like you. It was the same old nonsense. After reading for a while, I stopped. I went out to find food. That smells amazing. I stared dumbfounded at the lavish spread of dishes on the table, and at Gu Qinghan, leisurely enjoying it. Gu Qinghan, do you have no conscience? You're eating without me. Gu Qinghan lifted her eyelids. Was I supposed to starve for you? Fair enough. Very convincing. Impossible to argue with. I went straight over, grabbed some chopsticks, and took my favorite shredded pork and garlic sauce. Say what you will, Gu Qinghan really knew food. Even the private kitchen takeout she ordered tasted better than anyone else's. Gu Qinghan suddenly said, your parents called me. They said they needed to reach you, but you weren't answering. I took another piece of braised rib. I know. Gu Qinghan paused with her chopsticks and glanced at my phone. Should I give you some privacy? I waved. No need. Let them say what they want. The divorce is already done. They can't do anything about it. As I spoke, the phone rang again. The moment I answered, the caller launched into me. Chen Shu, go find Su Wangking right now. Tell her you were wrong. Say you acted on impulse and beg her to remarry you. Hearing the shrill female voice, I held the phone farther away. Remarry? She really dared to suggest it. Between getting scolded and dying at Su Wangking's hands, I knew which was worse. Chen Shu, are you even listening to me? I finally found a chance to reply. I am. But that's pretty difficult. I can't do it. The person on the other end grew even angrier. Chen Shu, is that how you speak to your parents? I was speechless. Didn't you just say you had no son like me? Did you forget? The other end instantly fell silent. She seemed ready to scold me again, but I was done listening. I've made myself very clear. I'm busy. We'll talk another day. Then I hung up and blocked the number. After witnessing my seamless sequence of moves, Gu Qinghan simply put down her chopsticks and looked me up and down for a long while. Not bad. Chen Shu, not only did you dump your ex-wife, you even dare stand up to your parents now. With meat still in my mouth, I mumbled, where there is oppression, there is resistance. Gu Qinghan chuckled and leaned slightly forward. Then maybe one day it'll be my turn. I gave her a thumbs up for her self-awareness. Her reaction didn't surprise me. She had grown up with the original Chen Shu and knew exactly what his temper had been like. Everything I was doing now could probably be summed up in one sentence. In her eyes, I'd gone insane. But then again, anyone stuck with this mess would go insane. I was only a male side character with no protagonist halo. Running early was the only way to survive. By the way, help me find a new house. This place is nice, but people still come disturb me sometimes. It's annoying, not just Su Wangking, but the original Chen Shu's entire family. Every one of them was trouble. Today, I'd completely fallen out with them. Who knew whether they'd come cause a scene? I had no interest in dealing with them. Gu Qinghan replied, leave it to me. Gu Qinghan truly was a qualified third-generation rich kid. Though she spent most of her time eating, drinking, and having fun, she was reliable when I truly needed her. The next day, she called me and said she'd chosen a villa in the Western District. The original owner had gone abroad and was eager to sell. The house had just been renovated and never lived in. I found you a bargain. I was very pleased with her efficiency. That very day, I dragged Gu Qinghan along to sign the contract with the owner. We transferred the title as quickly as possible. Then I immediately listed the old villa for sale. I called a moving company. A group of movers bustled up and down the stairs. Even I was speechless watching them. Only after packing did I realize how much stuff the original Chen Shu owned. I really had to pay them extra. Mr. Chen, what's in this box? It's pretty heavy. A mover carried down a large cardboard box from the third floor. It was sealed very tightly, so I couldn't tell what was inside. I was about to take a look when I suddenly received a call. Hello, is this Mr. Chen? This is the Third People's Hospital. Your wife collapsed on the road. Could you come here as soon as possible? I froze. Su Wangking had fainted and been taken to hospital. You must have the wrong person. I'm not her husband. The voice on the other end sounded surprised. But your name is listed in the patient's phone. Then I remembered. When Su Wangking was pregnant, the original Chen Shu had insisted she change his contact name to baby's dad, Chen Shu. Su Wangking couldn't win the argument, so she let him have his way. I never expected that after being divorced for some time, she'd actually forgotten to change it. How is she? The patient likely fainted from hypoglycemia. Her life is not in danger, but her overall condition isn't very good. You should come as soon as I understand, but I'm a little busy right now. How about this? Call her current boyfriend, Song Jingnian, instead. His number should be in her contacts. Contact him directly if anything else happens. I hung up and saw even more boxes piled in the living room. How long will this take? Just move everything first. I'll sort it out when I have time. Fortunately, the new house was big enough. I asked the housekeeper to organize everything roughly, then went to play several rounds of games. I also checked out a newly opened trendy barbecue place. The food was good, and the decor earned extra points. I couldn't help taking several photos and posting them on Moments. Check in another day of living like an emperor. I even included a handsome selfie. My friends all liked it. Even Gu Qinghan, who rarely appeared on Moments, left a comment. This place is pretty good. I replied, you've eaten here? Gu Qinghan answered smugly, of course. I own it, speechless. She'd successfully shown off again. But what I hadn't expected was for Song Jingnian to comment too. His tone was polite on the surface, yet carried an overbearing accusation and pressure from above. Chen Shu, even though you divorced Wang Qing, she's in the hospital right now. Is it appropriate for you not to even visit her? The moment he posted that comment, my Moments feed exploded. Only a few people knew that Su Wangqing and I had divorced. I hadn't even thought of a divorce announcement yet. And there he was, taking the moral high ground first. I replied in the same passive-aggressive tone, a proper ex should act as if he's dead. I was only afraid you'd misunderstand. Since you don't mind, I'll go. After all, we were college classmates. Visiting her would be perfectly reasonable. Don't you think? My Moments feed boiled over. Everyone was outraged. Not long after, Song Jingnian deleted his own comment. Did he think deleting it meant nothing had happened? I immediately posted another public question to all the experts on my Moments feed. What gift should I bring when visiting my ex-wife and her current boyfriend? Please. This is really important to me. An hour later, I arrived at the hospital carrying fruit. But just as I reached the ward, I heard Song Jingnian's pained voice. Wangqing, don't be angry. I know I was wrong this time, but I did it for you. Su Wangqing didn't respond. Song Jingnian sounded upset and aggrieved. You fainted. The hospital even called him, but he still refused to visit you. What if something had happened to you today? Su Wangqing's tired voice finally sounded. I'm a little tired. I want to be alone. After a moment, a chair scraped inside. Song Jingnian came to the door. The moment he pulled it open, he froze in shock. Su Wangqing sensed something was wrong and turned to look. Her face was very pale, without the usual commanding aura of a decisive CEO. Lying in bed within 4, she looked unusually fragile. When she saw me, her dull eyes suddenly looked nervous and helpless. Chen Shu, why are you here? I walked past Song Jingnian and entered. I didn't want people pointing fingers at me, saying I abandoned my ex-wife after the divorce. After all, we were college classmates. There's no need to make things so ugly. Su Wangqing's pretty face turned pale. She must have seen my. After sparring with Song Jingnian on Moments, someone as proud as he was could never tolerate being mocked in public like that. It was utterly humiliating. He probably hated me even more now. Just thinking about it annoyed me. Alright, I've come to see you. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving. Su Wangqing's lips twitched. Chen Shu, do you have to act like this? I raised an eyebrow and asked sincerely, act like what? You didn't visit me until 3 days after my car accident. Compared with you, I'm already being considerate. Su Wangqing's face instantly turned ashen. She opened her mouth, as if she wanted to say something, when my phone suddenly rang. It was the housekeeper. Mr. Chen, most of your things have been sorted, but there's one box we haven't touched. It's full of ceramic pieces. How would you like us to handle it? I paused. Ceramics? Yes. And they look like you made them yourself. So I thought I should ask you. From the corner of my eye, I caught Su Wangqing looking equally stunned. A flash of realization crossed my mind. I remembered. The original Chen Shu had indeed made those ceramics himself. Back in college, Su Wangqing worked at a pottery studio. To pursue her, the original Chen Shu went there almost every day and stayed for the entire afternoon. He had neither talent nor patience, and his eyes were fixed only on Su Wangqing. Every time, he ended up covered in clay and left with a finished piece hideous beyond belief. Yet he never tired of it and felt no embarrassment whatsoever. Eventually, even Su Wangqing couldn't stand watching him and told him he was doing it wrong. The original Chen Shu immediately seized the opportunity. Then teach me yourself. Of course, Su Wangqing didn't want to. But he was a generous spender and a VIP customer of the studio. She couldn't afford to offend him. Only after Su Wangqing quit did the original Chen Shu finally stop going. That was how the whole box of artwork accumulated. They're nothing important. Throw them all away, I said indifferently. Wait, Su Wangqing suddenly spoke. You're moving? I had to admit, this woman's intelligence still worked occasionally. I nodded. Yes. Where did you move to? Why was it so sudden? I couldn't help laughing. Miss Su, how many times must I remind you? We're already divorced. What I do and where I live are no longer your concern. Su Wangqing suddenly choked up. as if she'd heard something she couldn't accept. Her eyes faintly reddened. After a long while, she finally gave in. "If you don't want those ceramics, I'll have someone collect them." I gave her a strange look. "They were mine to begin with. I can keep them if I want, or throw them away if I want." I didn't know how those words had struck Su Wangqing's sore spot. The last glimmer in her eyes suddenly vanished, like a fragile flame finally extinguished by the wind. Song Jingnian hurried over worriedly. "Wangqing, are you all right?" Su Wangqing tilted her head, avoiding his hand. Song Jingnian froze awkwardly in place. But I had no interest in their little drama. I turned to leave. Unexpectedly, as soon as I stepped outside, a doctor called out to me. I looked up and saw a female doctor in her 40s studying me. "Why are you at the hospital? Are you feeling unwell?" I was a little confused. Then I saw the badge on her chest, Chief Obstetrician. A possibility surfaced in my mind. The only matter that could have connected the original Chen Shu to this doctor was the baby from before. "Thank you for asking, but I'm fine. I'm only here to visit a friend," I answered vaguely. She seemed relieved. "That's good, but you and your wife are old enough now. If you have another child, don't terminate the pregnancy again." I froze completely. Those two short sentences contained far too much information. Hadn't Su Wangqing miscarried by accident? When the original Chen Shu rushed to the hospital that night, Su Wangqing had already been wheeled out of the operating room. Song Jingnian had been beside her bed. "Wangqing, what are you doing?" Song Jingnian suddenly cried out behind me. I turned and saw Su Wangqing pull out her four and shove Song Jingnian aside. She hurried toward us and stopped directly in front of me. Her voice was tenser than I'd ever heard it. "Doctor, this is between my husband and me. It has nothing to do with you." But a chill spread through my entire body. I stiffly turned my head towards Su Wangqing, and for the first time, her beautiful face seemed utterly unfamiliar. "Su Wangqing, what does she mean?" The doctor gradually frowned. "Didn't your wife tell you that the two of you wanted to focus on your careers and weren't planning to have a child yet, so she chose to have an abortion? You knew nothing about it." I couldn't remember how I got home. My entire mind had been numbed by the sudden revelation. I sat in the study for a long while. I closed my eyes. The novel clearly said that Chen Shu's extreme jealousy had caused a fierce argument with Su Wangqing, which led to her accidental miscarriage. I didn't know why, but when I thought of it, somewhere inside me seemed to ache as well. It was as though I could personally feel the despair and agony he suffered. When he learned that the baby was gone, I shook my head, trying to cast those emotions aside. The housekeeper had just organized the study. I searched through it and found the box where college keepsakes were stored. At the very bottom, I found a college scrapbook. The abortion differed from what happened in the novel. Could other things be different too? I opened the first page. It held a photograph from military training. A young man in olive green fatigues smiled brightly. On the stage behind him stood a slender figure. Although she was some distance away, anyone could tell at a glance that it was Su Wangqing in college. Several small lines were written below. "First day of military training." A girl beside me suffered heat stroke. I carried her to the infirmary. She was so light. I didn't expect to see her today giving the freshman speech on stage. "So her name is Su Wangqing." Secretly photographing someone you liked under the guise of taking a selfie was perfectly normal. This must have been when he first fell for Su Wangqing. I almost laughed. The original Chen Shu had fallen for Su Wangqing through such a simple, cliché case of love at first sight. I couldn't help touching my face. In the novel, Chen Shu was selfish, willful, obsessive, and extreme. That image seemed entirely incompatible with the cheerful smile in the photograph. It was hard to imagine that a boy with stars in his eyes would eventually become someone so suspicious, domineering, obsessive, and selfish. I continued turning the pages and discovered that every photograph was connected to Su Wangqing. There she was attending class in a lecture hall, swinging a racket on the badminton court, her long hair flying, and eating alone in the cafeteria. There she was working intently at the pottery studio. Beside some of the photographs were occasional fragments of writing. The courses she chose are so boring. I can't understand them. My grades aren't even as good as a girl's. She's amazing at badminton too. She always seems to eat alone, and she buys the cheapest meals in the cafeteria every time. Does she ever get enough to eat? She always seems so busy. She doesn't even have time to speak to me. This was clearly the original Chen Shu's record of his secret love for Su Wangqing. Over 4 years of college, he took countless photographs of her. Every picture and every sentence differed completely from the Chen Shu in the novel. She seems to like someone, but that person isn't me. Maybe I should give up. Tomorrow is graduation. Should I confess to her and then say goodbye to this unrequited love? Halfway through taking graduation photos, she suddenly left. I secretly followed her and learned that her mother's condition had worsened. She needs a lot of money. The graduation section should have contained a graduation photograph, yet it was completely blank. Because of Su Wangqing, the original Chen Shu had missed his own graduation photo too. My hands began to tremble slightly. For some reason, the scrapbook suddenly felt unbearably heavy. making it difficult to keep reading. It felt as though, if I continued, something uncontrollable would happen. A weight seemed to press against my chest. I could neither draw breath nor let it out. Driven by some unknown force, I continued turning the pages. The next image was a wedding photograph. More precisely, it was an identification photograph, the picture from their marriage certificate. Chen Shu was still smiling, but his smile was much more restrained than before. Su Wangking, meanwhile, looked calm, utterly out of place against the festive red background. Only then did I remember that the two of them had never taken wedding portraits. After wavering repeatedly for a year, Su Wangking ultimately chose to marry Chen Shu. She hadn't married the person she truly loved, so naturally she had no interest in the complicated formalities. Her mother was also hospitalized at the time, so they held no wedding and took no wedding photographs. I had assumed that on this page, recording the day he finally married Su Wangking, Chen Shu would have written page after page. Yet there wasn't a single word. I stared at the photograph for a long while, my chest inexplicably tight. 5 years of secret love, followed by 5 years of marriage, and this was their only photograph together. I suppressed my thoughts and continued reading, only to find no more photographs of Su Wangking. There were merely occasional written entries. She seems very busy lately. Her company has just started, so she has to handle everything herself. She works so hard. I made her favorite sweet and sour ribs, but she came home from a business dinner smelling of alcohol and fell straight asleep. She bought an apartment near the company, saying it would make commuting easier. But why is that man there too? I know I can never compare with his place in her heart, but I still want a child who belongs to both of us. Am I beyond saving? I went to the sanatorium again today and happened to meet Gu Qinghan, who was there to take her grandfather home. She said I had no brains. With a woman like Su Wangking, this kind of tactic would never work. I turned and left on the spot, because I knew she was telling the truth. I had already decided to give up, but Su Wangking came home that night. Perhaps because the business dinner had gone badly, and she was so drunk, I couldn't stop myself from kissing her. For the first time, she kissed me back. Several pages in the middle were blank. Then, one night she seems to be pregnant. I continued reading. Those 2 months were the happiest period in Chen Shu and Su Wangking's relationship. Although he knew that Su Wangking had changed only because of the baby, he asked for nothing more. Many years earlier, he had fallen helplessly in love with her. For a time, he believed she was the light in his life. He wanted warmth and affection from her, but it had been wrong from the very beginning. The illusion that everything was beautiful was finally shattered without mercy. On the final page was a consent form for an abortion that had been torn apart and pieced back together. Su Wangking's signature was in the lower right corner. It was as though lightning struck without warning. A sharp pain tore through me. My entire body went numb, and my limbs turned ice cold. Countless images flashed through my mind. I was like a fish trapped beneath icy rain before a storm, struggling to break the surface for air, only to be swept under by an even greater wave. At last, I remembered. I hadn't transmigrated into a novel. I was Chen Shu. My phone suddenly rang, deafeningly loud in the silent study. It was Gu Qinghan. I answered. Before I could speak, Gu Qinghan asked directly, "You went to the hospital to see Su Wangking today?" She had taken an afternoon flight for a business trip, so she shouldn't have known what happened here. Although I'd posted that comment on Moments, she shouldn't have known the details so clearly. I didn't deny it. "How did you know?" She paused. "Su Wangking called me and asked some questions about you." "I see." I nodded, showing no intention of asking further. Hearing my flat tone, Gu Qinghan seemed to realize that something was wrong. "It's so late. Why aren't you asleep?" I was about to answer when the doorbell rang. The visitor was unexpectedly Su Wangking. I ended the call with Gu Qinghan and went downstairs to open the door, but I didn't let Su Wangking inside. The sky outside was completely dark. The street lamp cast a pale gray glow behind her, leaving her face half lit and half shadowed. I asked, "What do you want?" "I came to apologize. 3 hours had already passed since I left the hospital." Had she only now thought to say this? "There's no need," I said calmly. "It's all in the past. I no longer need your apology." Su Wangking's face grew paler. "Listen to my explanation." "I can explain. That day, I truly acted on impulse." "Was it really an impulse, or had you planned it for a long time?" I asked softly. "Carrying my child made you miserable, didn't it?" Su Wangking froze. After a long while, she closed her eyes and said each word carefully. "At first, I truly didn't want the baby, but later, as our baby grew day by day, I was only confused for a moment. I regretted it too." "Don't you think it's far too late for regret?" Remorse appeared in Su Wangking's eyes. Her shoulders trembled, and she couldn't speak. The corners of my lips curved slightly. "You let me believe the miscarriage was my fault, so I would be consumed by regret. Could never use the child to pressure you again, and would finally set you free. Isn't that right? Su Wonking suddenly went still. Deep down, she had always believed that I was a selfish, obsessive and hateful man. Without the child, I would have no reason to restrain her anymore. She opened her mouth. Every word seemed painfully difficult. But that was between the two of us. Then why did you suddenly attack Song Jingnian that day? I looked at her in silence. This woman was the person I'd loved for 10 years. Yet even at this moment, another man was still the one on her mind. I smiled. There was no particular reason. I simply couldn't stand him. He deserved it. But the baby is gone now, and we're divorced. Su Wonking, you can finally be with him. You should be happy. No, Su Wonking seemed suddenly provoked. She stepped forward and grabbed my wrist. I don't love him. I don't love him. Chen Shu, please don't speak to me in that tone. I frowned and was about to push her away when a soft laugh suddenly came from behind us. It seems I've come at a bad time. Su Wonking abruptly stiffened. Only then did I see that the newcomer was Gu Qinghan, who should have been away on business. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, her beautiful eyes cold. Su Wonking, weren't you the one who wanted the divorce? Stop pestering him. Su Wonking bit her lip and looked at Gu Qinghan with equal hostility. What happens between Chen Shu and me is none of an outsider's business. Gu Qinghan raised a delicate eyebrow and walked over in her stilettos. She stopped beside me and linked her arm through mine. My heart skipped a beat. Gu Qinghan, she turned to me, her smile seductive yet innocent. Are you planning to go back to your ex? My mind was a little confused. I shook my head. I have no such intention. But why did you suddenly come back? Gu Qinghan lifted her chin. Should I have stayed away and let her harass you? Su Wonking stared fixedly at Gu Qinghan's arm around mine. Her eyes faintly reddened. Gu Qinghan, stop making yourself sound so noble. You know perfectly well what filthy intentions you're harboring. Gu Qinghan laughed instead. She turned back and smiled brightly. Since President Su sees everything so clearly, why don't you tell us exactly what intentions I'm harboring? Su Wonking refused to answer. Her lips pressed tightly together. Gu Qinghan scoffed. President Su won't say it. Then I will. I've been hoping the two of you would divorce, so I could pursue him. This opportunity was hard to come by. Of course I have to put in extra effort and make the most of it. The night wind carried her voice, each word striking against my chest like the beat of a silent drum. Gu Qinghan continued, as for you, Su Wonking, if you had eyes or even the slightest conscience, you could never have asked those questions just now. Do you truly think someone will forgive you forever and keep giving you chances? Su Wonking's face turned deathly pale. Her body swayed, as though she might collapse at any moment. She murmured, her voice breaking, I truly didn't mean to. Gu Qinghan seemed unwilling to listen and cut her off directly, her voice several degrees colder. He finally managed to forget those things and was ready to begin a new life. Did you have to bring them up again? I suddenly looked at Gu Qinghan. Something about her words didn't sound right. Had she already sensed something? But Gu Qinghan didn't notice my reaction. She merely said, leave. Don't come back again. Su Wonking almost stumbled. Her unfocused eyes looked utterly lost. I didn't want to watch any longer. I said to her, all you wanted to ask were those two questions. I've already answered both. From today onward, there is nothing between us. With that, I turned to leave. A dull thud suddenly sounded behind me. Su Wonking had dropped to her knees. Her voice trembled uncontrollably. I know I was wrong. It was all my fault. Please give me one more chance. Can we start over? Gu Qinghan's first reaction was to turn and look at me. Her usual spoiled, overbearing air vanished completely. Her bright, beautiful eyes remained fixed on me. The hand hanging at her side clenched secretly, and her delicate face grew tense. She was nervous. Su Wonking was waiting for my answer. So was Gu Qinghan. I turned around and looked quietly at Su Wonking. Su Wonking, during our 5 years of marriage, I wasn't as likable to you as Song Jingnian. Instead, I only ever caused you trouble. I even tried to keep you all to myself. I was impossibly immature. That's what you always thought, isn't it? Su Wonking's face went pale. I added softly, you even believed that this marriage itself was something I forced from you. If it hadn't been for your mother, you never would have been with me. And we never would have become so entangled. That was your assessment of our marriage. Su Wonking, wasn't that exactly what you told me before the car accident? Su Wonking looked overwhelmed with regret, her eyes panicked. I only said those things on impulse that day. I was just too angry at the time. Those very words made me finally understand exactly what kind of ridiculous, vile, and hateful person she believed me to be. After losing the baby, I lost all hope and began wondering whether I should set Su Wonking free. A man like me wasn't worthy of staying with her. So later, when Song Jingnian asked to meet me, I agreed. I also wanted to find a chance to make things clear with the man who had always intruded on my marriage to Su Wonking. But that day, before I could ask my question, Song Jingnian handed me that abortion consent form. Chen Shu, you didn't really think one child could win Wongking's heart, did you? I was right beside her when you called. I heard everything. I even urged her to listen to you, stay home, and cancel the trip. But do you know what she said? She said you were using the baby to hold her back. She found it irritating. You've liked Wonking since freshman year, right? Apparently, she fainted during military training, and you took her to the infirmary. Helping others is a good thing, but one little act of kindness doesn't mean she has to give herself to you. Don't you agree? Chen Shu, stop being a fool. When you act like this, Wonking finds you annoying. Even carrying your child disgusted her. I never expected Song Jingnian to deliberately fall down the stairs. Nor did I expect Su Wonking to appear at that exact moment. She didn't bother listening to my explanation. She stayed beside Song Jingnian, crying nonstop, frantic with worry. From beginning to end, she never once looked at me. Later, when she finally had time for me, I tried to confront her about the baby, but her words stopped me cold. Chen Shu, how long are you going to keep making trouble? Do you know that everything about you disgusts me? That day, I wandered the streets aimlessly for a long time. My mind was full of her disgust and accusations. Was I selfish? Was I extreme? Was I hateful? Then an out-of-control car came crashing toward me. I lost consciousness on the spot. When I woke again, I had become another version of myself. The me that existed in Su Wongking's eyes. She had built this illusory world for me, and in this world, I was crazed and selfish, obsessive and absurd. More importantly, I instinctively no longer loved her. I looked into Su Wongking's eyes and spoke calmly. But Su Wongking, in this world, I don't love you anymore either. When I woke the next morning, it was already broad daylight. Following the smell of breakfast, I wandered into the kitchen. Gu Qinghan was cooking. I was stunned. Miss Gu, what special day deserves your personal effort? Gu Qinghan lifted her chin toward the yard. That annoying woman, Su Wonking, had knelt outside all night. I ignored her. I dragged Gu Qinghan, who still wanted to argue, back inside and went straight to rest. I sat at the dining table and took a bite of her fried egg toast. So this is also the day Miss Gu's first attempt at cooking ended in failure. Gu Qinghan rushed over to snatch the toast away. It's burnt. Don't eat it. I'll make you another one. I turned aside and dodged her. No need. That would be wasteful. It's still edible. Gu Qinghan looked doubtful. Really? I held up the toast. Try it. Just as she leaned in to bite, I tilted my head and kissed the corner of her lips. She froze completely. Her ears turned red at a visible speed. Satisfied, I pinched her cheek. Why are you making such a fuss? You're even louder than when you confessed yesterday. Gu Qinghan was speechless for ages. Then she suddenly threw herself into my arms. She said into my chest, I thought you'd forgotten everything. You forgot so much after waking from the accident. I almost thought I'd have to care for a big idiot forever. I rubbed her hair. How could that happen? Even when I forgot myself, I never forgot you. During the time when I no longer recognized or even trusted myself, there was still one person I never guarded against and trusted completely. She looked up and smiled in satisfaction. You finally got smart for once. My years of loving you weren't wasted. Something tugged sharply at my heart. I couldn't help saying, Gu Qinghan, how are you even blinder than me? How could you fall for someone like me? She looked smug. Clearly, I simply have better judgment and knew to wait for someone worth waiting for. I smiled too. Yes, you're the best. Su Wonking extra lately, I kept running into a certain boy. He was there during class. He was there when I played badminton. He was even there at my part-time job. They looked like chance encounters, but his methods were too clumsy. He couldn't act at all. Everything was written on his face. It was a little annoying. It wasn't as though other boys had never liked me, but none had been as blatant as him. I thought he would give up after a while, but he was unbelievably stubborn. I deliberately stayed close to Song Jingnian, hoping he would take the hint and back off. The hurt in his eyes was obvious. Sure enough, he stopped appearing for quite some time. I breathed a sigh of relief. Yet I also thought someone like him really did lose interest in everything after 3 minutes. He was a pampered young master, after all. He had never suffered much. He was different from people like us. Remembering Song Jingnian's words made me even more irritated. So when Song Jingnian hinted that we should be together, I found an excuse and gently refused. I had neither the time nor energy for romance. I still had to care for my parents and support the family. Fortunately, Song Jingnian was always understanding. After learning about my difficulties, he never brought it up again. Instead, he devoted himself to helping me. But accidents always come without warning. My mother's condition worsened, and she urgently needed an astronomical medical fee. Just when I had nowhere left to turn, that boy appeared again. What do you want? He shook his head and said nothing. I sneered inwardly, unsure whether I was mocking him or myself. Then let's be together, I heard my own voice say. I knew what he wanted, yet he still insisted on pretending otherwise. But I had no choice. I needed money, so I could only sell myself. His relationship with his family was poor. He always liked clinging to me, but I was busy. Where would I find the time? Gradually, he came to see me less often. I thought he had finally understood, but he had actually gone to make trouble for Song Jingnian. I reprimanded him several times, but he always denied it. Every conversation ended badly. Later, he finally settled down, and I breathed a sigh of relief. Then I saw him chatting with another woman at the sanatorium. That woman was Gu Qinghan, his childhood friend from a family of equal status. Without me, they would have been a perfectly matched couple. I was a woman. I knew too well what her gaze toward him meant. He would complain and vent to her. They would tease and bicker with each other. He never did any of that with me. How could he do this? He claimed to love me, yet he was with another woman. He thought I was drunk that night, but I knew I wasn't. A possessiveness I didn't know I had swallowed me whole. Even I was caught off guard. Then I became pregnant. For some reason, I actually felt relieved. There was a child now. That meant I had to stay with him. I don't know how I made myself lie down on the operating table. I thought it was punishment for him, but I was wrong. I suffered 10,000 times more than I imagined. Everything fell apart and began slipping out of my control. I don't know how I managed to say those things. Maybe I had gone mad. The moment he signed his name on the divorce agreement, I realized that I truly had gone mad. How could I let him leave? I couldn't let him leave. But by the time I came to my senses, it was too late. I fired Song Jingnian and exposed the fact that he had taken kickbacks and leaked company secrets. He could no longer survive in the industry. He begged outside my door for days, then finally left the city in disgrace and disappeared without a trace. I couldn't bear to change his contact name in my phone, but one day, I got drunk and called it, only to discover the number had been disconnected. Later, I heard he and Gu Qinghan held a magnificent wedding. I finally realized one thing, I had completely lost him after all. Heavy rain fell outside, and dampness filled the air, almost seeping into my heart. It was my fault. It was all my fault. I lost him, and I lost myself too. I'm sorry. In the next life, please don't meet me again. The next time I saw Su Wangqing was 3 years later. Mom is dying. She wants to see you. Looking at the haggard woman before me, thin and worn down, I almost failed to recognize her. This was once the glamorous and beautiful Su Wangqing. In just 3 years, she looked as though she had aged 10. I heard she had contacted several college classmates before finally finding out where I was. All ties between us had long been severed, but when I thought of the elderly woman lying hunched and emaciated in bed, I nodded in the end. But I have something to do later. I probably can't stay long. Su Wangqing's dull eyes suddenly brightened. She clearly hadn't expected me to agree so readily, and looked momentarily at a loss. That's all right. It's enough that you're willing to go. Her face showed unprecedented nervousness and unease. I'm already deeply grateful that you agreed. After calling home, I went with Su Wangqing to visit Mrs. Su. Surprisingly, Mrs. Su was no longer living at the sanatorium. The car finally stopped outside a rundown apartment building. Oh, right. I heard that Su Wangqing and Song Jingnian fell out years ago. Song Jingnian held a grudge and deliberately joined a rival company, driving Su Wangqing toward ruin step by step. Her company went bankrupt, and her debts exceeded her assets. She had apparently asked classmates everywhere for loans. After all those twists and turns, she had actually fallen this far. She couldn't afford the sanatorium's high fees, and she didn't even have a home. She could only scrape by renting a place like this. When we reached the door, Su Wangqing didn't enter immediately. With her hand on the door, she took a deep breath before finally pushing it open. Mrs. Su lay in bed, emaciated and breathing weakly. Mom, Su Wangqing called softly. Hearing her voice, Mrs. Su opened her eyes, but slowly turned her head away and closed them again. Su Wangqing walked over and whispered, Chen, she came to see you. Mrs. Su froze. I stepped closer. Auntie Su, I greeted her. Mrs. Su's eyes immediately reddened. Tears rolled down onto the back of her skeletal hand. Su Wangqing hurried to wipe away her tears, but Mrs. Su shoved her away. Get out. I don't have a daughter like you. Caught off guard, Su Wangqing fell to the floor. Tears welled in her eyes. I felt a little awkward, unsure how the relationship between mother and daughter had become like this. Auntie Su, please don't upset yourself. But Mrs. Su cried even harder. Her voice was choked and hoarse. I know everything now. Wangqing wronged you. Our Su family wronged you. After a moment of silence, I shook my head. It's all in the past. Everyone has their own life now. We all have to keep moving forward, don't we? I spent my whole life trying to do good, yet this is how I ended up. I suppose I deserve it. Chen Shu, you're a good child. Don't come again. Su Wangqing, her eyes red and swollen, wanted to walk me downstairs. No need. Take good care of your mother. I glanced at my phone. Su Wangking gave a bitter smile. Ever since she learned we divorced, she has refused to acknowledge me. Seeing me every day only makes her angry. I had no patience for any of this and no interest either. I picked up my car keys and prepared to leave. Su Wangking hesitated. Chen Shu, is your business urgent? Why not stay for a meal or some tea? I nodded. Yes, it is. Zhao Bao is getting out of school. I need to pick her up. If I'm late, her mother will make me stand as punishment again. Su Wangking looked as though she had been struck by lightning. Her body swayed, and her face went white as paper. I forgot to tell you. Zhao Bao is my daughter. I smiled. You haven't met her. Her eyes take after her mother, but her nose and mouth take after me. She's beautiful. Su Wangking couldn't say another word. She collapsed onto the sofa and slowly covered her face. She sobbed softly. I turned and left. The moment I closed the door, the sound of her anguish breakdown came from inside. I ignored it and walked straight away. I rushed to the kindergarten. A tiny, soft, sweet-smelling bundle threw herself into my arms. I bounced her gently. Come on, let's go home. Mom made something delicious today. The little girl wrinkled her nose pitifully. Daddy, I want to eat your cooking. I tapped her nose. Once we get home, Daddy will cook for you.